Well, I've been asked to give you an overview of Google Classroom, and I like to refer to that as another great tool for connecting to your class, to your students, to your classmates if you're a student. And why have an online classroom in the first place? I can think of a few reasons that makes a lot of sense for me. First, it brings students and family members together around your content. They can interact with it, with your student, as well as with you, and that can come up in conference time and in communications with them if they have questions about what you're teaching, to clarify that for their child. That can be very helpful. It's also a terrific PR piece for the school. You can also have students access content that they missed due to an absence. Let's say that they had to leave your classroom early for an athletic game and weren't able to get the rest of the material that you were presenting. Also, in the case of you're not being in school, you can previously upload content to your online classroom. Students can access that along with the substitute teacher while you're not in the building. So that's a great tool right there. Additionally, you can also access course materials without the use of paper. Think of all the time that you invest just standing in front of a copy machine. Well, you've eliminated that right off the bat. And the cost to the school as well. Think about that. And also, why not flip the classroom? Why not present content by way of video or PowerPoint presentations that are online that students can access while they're outside of the classroom? And that way, you're not waiting for the slowest student taking notes in your classroom before you move on to the next part of your presentation, while you have possible misbehavior that's taking place in the classroom while the rest of the class is waiting for the slowest student. It also puts the student in control of you. They can pause you, go to the bathroom, go get a snack, come back, play, turn you on again. They can rewind you if there's a point that they missed or needed to go over again. And then when they come into class, all that time that you would have spent presenting in class now frees you up that you can do more in-depth critical thinking activities and exploration with your students. Something to consider. It's also a means of review. Students can look at those videos that you've done or other content outlines, review guides that you've put up on Google Classroom while they're preparing for an exam or for a quiz, that kind of thing. Very useful. It also gives you a greater range of options for differentiated instruction. At the heart of differentiated instruction, as you know, is student choice. And so this is another avenue that you can give students options for how they want to access content in your course. Also, a terrific means of students that want to do a course on independent study and it just doesn't fit into their schedule. I've also run classes that were self-paced. In other words, you allow students the flexibility to work through the content of your course at their own pace. For example, if you have a student that's involved in a travel team, for example, and they do that on a regular basis and they're missing school, or students that are involved in things like the Olympics. I know that's a rare event, but they can proceed through the content on their own pace and still stay in touch with you via technology. So it gives you a greater flexibility to meet the needs of students that are coming from varying backgrounds, or students whose parents are missionaries and they've left your classroom because they've gone on to the mission field and they still need to finish the coursework. This gives you greater flexibility to meet their needs. Something to consider. But why Google Classroom? There are a variety of different options that are out there for teachers to use for course management software online, such as Moodle, such as Edmodo, and they provide a tremendous advantage to those that use those platforms. Let me give you some advantages of Google Classroom while we're looking at it. First, it integrates all the G Suite applications that you've already become familiar with: Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, and some other tools as well that can be accessed by any computer or even on a mobile device. There is a Google Classroom app that's been ported for the iPad, for example. And so, again, you have that ability for your students to connect to you while they're in the classroom and outside of the classroom. You can also integrate video content from YouTube, other sources. You can actually provide self-scoring quizzes, surveys, digital art, graphics, editing, internet suites from all over the web. You can bring them right in to one place that you can organize for your students. And then thirdly, keep in mind that Google Classroom is free to schools. If the school has a Google account domain already set up, they already have access to Google Classroom, and it doesn't require in-house IT professionals to maintain. It's maintained by Google itself. And so that's a huge cost savings to a small school. In addition, for the staff that are going to access Google Classroom, and this is going to make the learning curve fairly gentle for teachers that already have typical computer skills. I found that Google Classroom is much easier to get up and running than other applications that I've used for porting my content to the web. Something to keep in mind: Google Classroom is also an interactive platform so that you're not just communicating one way from you to the student, but there's interaction in a variety of different ways, and students can interact with each other as well. Now, what are some objections that I've heard regarding this kind of technology for education? Young people spend too much time online. Well, they can. But keep in mind, when Google Classroom is used appropriately, it's best used that actually increases face time by extending your presence beyond the brick and mortar school, actually enhancing your relationships with students. Now, sure, you have the option of creating video content on your own or using another teacher's video that you found was good on YouTube. Sure, that's an option for you. In my opinion, using something like Google Classroom is best used to actually enhance your relationship with the student and the student's family. And then freeing that time up in the classroom so you can actually have more face time with the student, or more elbow-to-elbow time if you prefer to look at it that way. It's my goal to connect with every student in every class every day, and Google Classroom helps me accomplish that. Another objection that I've heard, and in many ways it seems legitimate, is that preparing online content will place huge demands upon teachers. Listen, teachers are already very busy. In fact, because many teachers work with a limited income, they may even have to take on a second job. And so this is certainly on the surface of it a legitimate objection, and it's a legitimate concern for sure. But keep in mind that just like all other G Suite applications, your Google Classroom content is saved, and although the upfront investment of time may seem high initially, over time, innumerable hours of preparation are saved. In fact, many teachers have found that their prep time and grading time is actually reduced due to the use of technology grading some of their assessments. So keep that in mind as you're evaluating different platforms for online content. One other objection that I want to address is also legitimate. What I'm doing in class is working for my students now, and I don't fix what's broken. I don't have time to do that. And that makes sense to me. And so you certainly don't want to replace something that you know is already working well for you and your students now. But I want to ask you this question: would your students agree with you if you were to ask them? Would you open yourself up to that type of assessment? Would they not at least periodically appreciate a change of pace now and then? And consider as well that an online classroom is just one more tool in your toolbox of your pedagogical repertoire. Ultimately, of course, it's up to you, the classroom practitioner, to make the professional decisions as to what is going to be the most appropriate method to deliver that content to those specific objectives. And in wrapping up, there's one more encouragement that I want to leave you here, is that it's up to you to choose. But keep in mind one thing, that an online course does not by itself make an average teacher a good teacher. Good pedagogy is going to apply inside the classroom as well as online. Listen, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.